Hello, one and all. It's my reaction review and cut kind of video of Arifureta Season 2, Episode 2. And right off the bat, I do want to apologize for my last video, which ended up getting taken down after a couple hours. That's because I was so excited for the premiere of Season 2 that I ended up including more than 5 seconds of the actual anime. And YouTube didn't like that. And the creators of the anime really didn't like that, so it got taken down. Sorry about that. I made the changes, re-uploaded it, and I think this video should be okay. I still really did love how last video came out, so I'm going to continue doing the whole reacting and doing cut content at the same time. It just makes editing a whole lot easier. And what I figured out is I don't actually have to use the mouse to press the pause button every time. I can just use the space bar. I have a master's degree in computer science, people. I kid you not. I kid you not. But anyway, as for last episode, I think they did a great job of improving over Season 1. The monsters just look so much better, and they actually gave some screen time to Hajime's classmates to show their personality, so that maybe, just maybe, we'll end up caring about them. Yeah, probably not. And the episode ended with Hajime agreeing to go save the dukedom of Akagi. Yay! And I'm seeing some people online who are saying, oh, Hajime got soft. He's not the edgelord he was back in Season 1. And yeah, no, he is still the edgelord. He would still absolutely leave this town to burn to the freaking ground if it wasn't essentially on his way and he needed, a spot to keep Mew, because he cannot bring her to Labyrinth. He can absolutely not bring her to Labyrinth. She will 100% die. Even as strong and powerful as Hajime is, yeah, he can't protect a 4-year-old girl in a place meant to kill people. He just cannot do that. And also, it's just important to network, to make some connections. Now, that may seem like the last thing in the world Hajime would want to do, but he is an incredibly thorough person. Every weapon he makes, he includes a self-destruct mechanism into it, just in case it might need to be used down the road. I kid you not. I kid you not. So he's doing everything in his power to make sure he gets home as quickly as possible, and at some point he might need a favor from the Duke of Akagi, or from the Guildmaster, or for anybody out there in the world that he has done a favor to. So if there's an easy job he can do for somebody in power, he will 100% do it, because he thinks that that person might be useful to him down the road, might end up helping with his goal of getting back home somehow, some way. But anyway, alright, let's get into this, starting in 3, 2, 1... Okay, and we're starting off with an aerial shot of the dukedom of Akagi, which, looks fairly nice, I think the light novel describes as being a far more beautiful city than this, describing, canals spreading throughout the entire city, and just marble, and the gates themselves are actually elevated, so anyone who enters the city will look down and see the sprawling landscape and be left in awe. Even Hajime and Yui stop for a second, awed at how freaking beautiful this city actually is. I'm not even kidding. And you see those pillars all around the city? They form a barrier using the artifact, the Eye of Judgment, which keeps out anything harmful from the city. That's the reason why, they have this beautiful landscape, beautiful greenery and all that, without any sand or dust getting into it, because the barrier keeps all that stuff out. And actually, when I first read the light novel, I misunderstood this entire part and thought this entire city was actually like underground, in some sort of underground cavern. I thought that's what they meant by a barrier. So yeah, I had a very confused picture of this in my head, but this is what it actually looks like, more or less. Like I said, the light novel describes more canals and more beauty, but it's still an incredibly good-looking city, especially, in the middle of a freaking desert. Okay, and Hajime is just casually driving his car throughout the city. Just casually driving it, across bridges, over roads. Nobody's really concerned about it. Actually, in the light novel, the guards just don't even really react at all to Hajime's, truck, his brise, his vehicle, because they're so concerned, they're so focused on the city, they aren't really paying attention, and they only really react when they realize, wait a minute, the prince is in that strange metal box thing. We should probably do something about that, shouldn't we? Yeah, but I have no idea what. Oh, those poor guards. They must have been so confused. Okay, like I said, Hajime and Yui both very impressed by the city. Though it is, far from its heyday, far from how it looks in its prime, obviously, because they're dealing with the whole poisoning thing that's infected like 80% of the population. Yeah, it feels very sad. In the light novel, Mew says it feels so empty, which... yeah, that's a fairly good way of describing it. Episode 2, Burning Lights. And just based on the title alone, I have a fairly good idea where this episode is going to end, and it is going to cover quite a bit of content, so some things are definitely going to end up getting cuts. I'm just hoping they don't remove that one scene I really want to say in the actual volcano. Okay, this is actually kind of interesting, because in the light novel, he refuses to be supported by cavalry, basically saying, oh, I can never ask one of God's chosen people to carry me like that. It would be blasphemous. And this just royally ticks off Hajime, so he takes out some of his crossbits and has them basically carry him into the city, carry him to go meet with his father, which definitely creates a different kind of reunion and results in the Duke being fairly wary of Hajime, even though he still thinks he might be a charlatan. I guess, really, I guess. I'm like, you know what, it's on my way. I might as well just save the 100,000 people living here. I mean, why not? Oh god, I love your edge, Hajime. I freaking love it. Yeah, like I said, at this point, the king, the duke, still thinks that Hajime and his friends might be charlatans, but this kind of erases all doubt from his mind. I mean, she has cast a spell so powerful it made a local earthquake. That's not something anybody in the entire world should be capable of doing, but she just freaking did it. Oh, nice, and they included this too. They even showed Hajime doing with Biz. Basically, he's removing all the water-absorbing properties from the soil while adding down a thin layer of metal to make sure that the water they put in it won't evaporate away, won't get sucked away, and, erase all their hard work. Again, this is not something any normal person in the entire world should be capable of doing. This is magic that goes well beyond the realm of, magic. This is in the realm of the gods, essentially, in the minds of the people right now. Yet, as such, they are thoroughly, thoroughly shocked. Okay, that was a little better in light novel. It said Yui began to fall, but did not take any corrective actions because she knew she would not hit the ground. And then Hajime appeared basically out of nowhere and caught her. I just love the level of trust these two have one another. It is so freaking wholesome and adorable. And now things are about to get very, very unwholesome. Oh boy. Yeah, I know that. Oh, yeah. Yep. This is actually way cleaner than it was in the light novel. I mean, seriously, the light novel described several minutes of moaning and pleasure as everyone looked on in longing and desire, even though they were watching her basically suck out his blood. And then they embraced, they kissed, even though his blood was still upon her lips. This is seriously written as one of the most erotic scenes in the entire freaking light novel. Oh god, Mew. Yeah, Tio, you're doing a very bad job of covering your eyes. Seriously, you're doing a very bad job of covering those eyes. Okay, that's kind of creepy. That was definitely kind of creepy there. We also just lost a really funny scene where Yui's bloodsucking actually happened before she filled it with water. She was so exhausted after, just making the indent itself that she needed to get some blood from Hajime, and that led to several minutes of, like I said, moaning and kissing and bloodsucking, at which point the Duke just kind of finally lost his patience and said, hey, I have a mountain of questions about the whole bloodsucking thing, but would you mind giving us the water you promised? That's honestly one of the funniest scenes in the entire light novel. Also, this is completely unrelated, but I really do have to wonder about the logic of referring to something as your demon eye when you're in a country full of humans who view demons as their enemies. Completely unrelated, but that just really bothered me. Okay, he's going with grenades. I mean, that works. In the light novel, he actually used torpedoes. I kid you not, he had like 50 torpedoes all ready to use, which he just kind of put in the water, and then he's like, wait a second, boom, 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 explosions everywhere. The Duke was not happy about that, and I feel like he won't be happy about the grenades either. There we go. Yeah, I mean, obviously grenades are probably easier to animate, but I really do love just the insanity of him making torpedoes to fire at this thing instead. Also, again, sorry, I keep pausing, but there's actually an artifact around the oasis that keeps anything from wishing it harm to be placed inside of it. So they're aware that Hajime is not actually trying to harm the oasis, despite throwing explosives at it, and this just seriously, seriously confused them all the more. Oh, Hajime Dono, I like the respect he has there. Okay, here we go. Okay, this is actually incredibly well animated. I mean, I really wasn't sure how well they'd be able to actually show a, basic slime living mass of water in this anime, but this is better than I was expecting. I mean, the characters themselves are fairly still in this scene, but that does make sense because this thing isn't really, much of an actual threat to them. That thing is so ugly, but in a good way. It's ugly in the way that it was drawn well to make it just seem so off-putting and disturbing. Okay, you know what, that was fairly well done. Light novel, again, just a little better here, as it basically describes Hajime's aim being so precise, so perfect, that the mana crystal, the red thing inside of it, actually moved in front of the bullet. He correctly predicted the movement of the monster's core inside of it, and was able to fire his gun at the exact spot it was going to be by the time the bullet reached it. Just, next level marksmanship right there. Again, Tio is really freaking smart, and a great person to have around if she wasn't just so overwhelmingly perverted. I mean, we're 6 minutes into the episode. He solved your water issue. He's dealt with the cause of the pollution. His healer is currently, dealing with all your sick people. Are you really going to doubt him after all of that? Okay, a duke lowering his head to anybody is an incredibly rare event, and really just shows how grateful he is for what Hajime did for saving his people. He's actually a really nice guy, and Hajime kind of respects him a little bit because of it. And of course, he is just so freaking in his face. Yeah, don't forget, you owe me a debt, a giant debt. Like I said at the start of this episode, Hajime is doing this at least partially because he thinks down the road there might come a time where the Duke needs to do something for him to help him get back to his world, or in any other issue he might be dealing with at that point. Oh god, I love Shia. I freaking love her. Though in the light novel here, she's actually even more insane, as she's basically carrying around cartloads full of people, bringing them in and out of the hospital to be healed. And, going through the roads would be a bit too slow, so instead she's grabbing people, leaping from building to building along rooftops, with a dozen sick people at one time on her back, and bringing them for Kaori to heal. And Kaori, she doesn't actually need to heal them one at a time. Her Sanctorum has a range of like 10 meters, so she can heal a dozen people at once. In fact, at this point in light novel, she has healed thousands of people, and is basically taking complete control of the hospital. Also, another small little detail, Yui wasn't actually able to make all that water on her own. I mean, yes, she had to drink from Hajime, but she also needed to get recharged by, mana. And what Kaori's currently doing right here is basically taking the excess mana from all these people and putting it in mana crystals, which she then passed on to Yui, who used it to make all the water for the people. Huzzah! A perfect system! Not exactly what we saw in the anime, but that's how it worked in a light novel. I mean, Hajime may not necessarily already agree to that, but he kind of has to now because the Duke guilted him into it. I mean, guilt doesn't actually work all that well in Hajime, but the Duke thinks it does, so he's just going to add in that extra little detail to try and make sure that Hajime will, save his kingdom. Dukedom. Again, it really is along the way. He's going to the volcano anyway, so he might as well just grab some stillstone while he's there if it means earning a favor from the Duke and making sure that when he comes back, Miu isn't surrounded by corpses, which would really upset her. Wow, that is a murderous look right there. That is a really murderous look. And it makes sense. I mean, the whole interaction those two just had. The light novel describes it as woman sending her husband off to war. Wow, just wow, Mew. I knew it was coming, but still, that is a brutal line right there. That is a brutal line. Yep, and now Kaori's gotten super terrifyingly evil as well. Unnerving. Yeah, I mean, I mean, yeah, Hajime might be the monster of the abyss, but Kaori is somehow more terrifying than him. I don't know how it's possible, but she is. I mean, she also just grabbed his tie and dragged him in, despite the fact that his stats are like 10 times higher than hers. Probably more than 10 times higher than hers. He kind of did forget about you. He absolutely did forget about you. Sorry, Kaori. And Yui, you just have to make things so much worse at every possible moment, don't you? That laugh is so terrifying. Also, in the light novel, he ends up giving Mew, Yui, and even Shia a kiss goodbye. Though Shia's is on a cheek, and she's actually with him, so not so much a kiss goodbye, but hey, good moment for Shia. Yay! Wow, okay, Hajime has so very, very much firepower in his car. Oh, that is terrifying. Oh, that's a bit of a shame. Missed out on a great line. After Hajime killed all the sandworms in the light novel, he said that his car can actually transform into a giant fighting robot. I mean, he makes it as a joke, but everyone in the car is aware there's some point where Hajime will actually end up making that a reality. That is some very interesting animation on Shia right there. And of course, Tio is a freaking dragon, so the heat doesn't actually bother her all that much. And of course, she's a pervert, so she wishes the heat was causing her pain. Oh, Tio, you make me love you and then you make me hate you. Usually in equal measures. This is certainly a fairly impressive looking labyrinth. I wasn't sure how well they'd be able to really capture what was described in the light novel. I mean, the description of the light novel is definitely more impressive, as it describes magma flowing through the air like rivers, and monsters constantly popping out of it. But this is pretty good. This is pretty good. Yeah, that's basically a black hole. She basically just created a black hole from such intense gravity that it was able to absorb the attack, basically absorbed all the fire that was being shot at them. Okay, Magma Ox. Better than I was expecting. I mean, obviously it doesn't look particularly great, but they're making a literal ox out of magma. You can't really expect it to look all that spectacular, especially because there's such a, minor boss in this whole dungeon. Yes, they're letting Shia handle it. Oh, I'm very happy about this. Again, they really put a whole lot of effort into animating Shia this episode. Oh, and that was beautiful right there. That was truly, truly beautiful. And that whole thing, converting mana into physical energy, converting mana into physical force, that's actually a result of the horse-headed monsters that Hajime fought at the end of Season 1, the ones he was able to kill with his pile driver. He realized, you know what, these guys are so strong that even Koki wasn't able to, actually deal with them all that well, even when he was in his overdrive state, so they might be worth eating. So Hajime ate them, and gained the skill Shock Conversion, which allows him to convert mana into pure physical energy, and then he used his creation magic to embed that onto Shia's hammer, so she's able to convert her mana into pure destructive force when she strikes anything. A truly, truly terrifying combination for her. Okay, so the entire cavern they're in is currently made of stillstone? Oh, that is a lot. That is certainly a lot right now. Okay, wow. Yui has lost it. Yui has truly and utterly lost it. She's cute when she's crazy. Okay, this is actually the scene I was worried they end up skipping in this episode. Tio's theory about the theme of a labyrinth, the concept of a labyrinth. Is the Japanese word for concept literally concepto? I don't know about that. Interesting. Yeah, the Great Orcus Labyrinth, the whole thing about that is to try and face enemies with a bunch of different types of attacks, types of patterns. I mean, Hajime fought monsters that petrified him, that poisoned him, that swam through lava, that swam through... Actually, now I think about it, it wasn't lava. It was tar that was incredibly flammable, and if he used any type of fire or fire magic, he would have burned himself to death. Oh, that was a terrifying floor. But yeah, basically every single floor labyrinth put him through a completely different obstacle to see how well he reacted to the unknown, to see how well he reacted to a situation he had never been in before. And he just did so amazingly well at it. Yeah, the Great Rise in Labyrinth, that basically nullified all magic, so they were forced to face it with basically just their raw strength, which made it so very, very lucky they managed to recruit Shia, because she is all about raw strength. Yeah, we haven't actually seen much of this in the anime, but in the light novel, there are monsters popping out to attack them basically every 5 seconds. They can pop out from the magma, attack, and then retreat back into the magma, and just repeat again and again and again. And it just really wears on their nerves while they're dealing with the heat that is sapping their endurance. So Labyrinth is basically asking them, do you have the strength of will and determination to deal with the war against the gods? Do you have the endurance to strike down the very gods from the heavens themselves? Okay. Yeah, Hajime managed to get distracted by that. He was so awed and impressed by Tio's reasoning and judgment and deduction there that he allowed himself to actually feel a little bit of affection towards her. Oh, Hajime, you done messed up, boy. You done messed up. And now he's staring at Yui's cleavage, because of course he is. I should note, this is the second time this episode that Yui has actively attempted to seduce Hajime. Second time this episode, and we're not even done. Still have another 8 minutes left. Okay, probably good that scene ended where it did. In light novel, Shia just gets really, really depressed that Hajime doesn't pay as much attention to her body as he does to Yui's, or even to Tio's at this point, which, wow, that's sad. That is so sad. Poor Shia. And now they are sailing on a boat through the magma. Yes, they are. Actually, in the light novel, he says reminds him of Indiana Jones. But this definitely seems like an amusement park ride. I mean, he is riding a freaking boat in magma. He's riding a boat through magma. Though in the light novel, this is more of an accident. He actually fell into a river of magma when he destroyed a wall. And as a result, he quickly thought, okay, I'm going to build a boat to protect myself and reinforce it with diamond skin. And he's like, oh, wait, I can just sail down this boat and reach the end of Labyrinth much, much quicker. Yay! Yeah, this really is like an amusement park ride. Again, I just really need to remind you once more, they are riding through freaking magma. A single drop can burn them to death. Alright, I am loving the design for the dome in the center of the labyrinth. That looks so cool. Again, Tio is showing some incredible brilliance this episode, being able to finish Hajime's sentence here, knowing exactly what it is he's thinking, and realizing, yeah, this is probably a trap. We're probably surrounded by monsters right now. Alright, I really am liking the designs of the magma eels. I was a little worried how they would actually show these, but yeah, they look pretty impressive. I'm happy with them, absolutely. Yeah, that's a bit of an issue for him. When it came to the, giant slime thing he was facing earlier this episode, he could just aim for the mana crystal, but because the eels are literally made out of lava and mana, he can't pinpoint the exact location of the crystals, so the only real option is to crush these things completely and utterly beyond repair, and hope their attacks manage to hit the crystal. Which, yeah, that is not easy. That's certainly not easy. Wow, love that. Yeah, those bullets weren't actually normal bullets, like Hajime said. He used the same shot conversion skill used on Shia's hammer to add some extra kick to the bullets, and wow, that really showed. That really showed. And as well, was able to find the mana crystal and shoot it before it got into the lava and was able to form a new mana snake. Yay! Okay, that's the exact same animation they used before. They're literally the exact same animation. Alright, I can't blame them too much. It was a good looking animation. Okay, I know I kept talking about Chio's brilliance episode, but that's a fairly good observation on Shia's part. Good for you, Shia! And now he's realized, okay, we don't have to kill 10 snakes. We need to kill 100 snakes! Yay! Yeah, it's like Tio said. This is literally a battle of endurance. Can they hold out long enough to actually beat 100 snakes? I mean, for most people, this would take them just hours upon hours, or even days to accomplish. It'll truly, truly test their endurance. Thankfully, Hajime's party are not made up of normal people by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah, like I said, these are not normal people, to the point where they're actually making a competition, a game to see who can kill the most snakes. Oh, I love these group of nut jobs. I freaking love them. Okay, that might seem like an incredibly simple request from Yui, Hajime's #1 and only girl, but in truth, she only really gets to spend nights with him, and she wants a date, a time during the day when they can be together, just the two of them, which is a lot to ask given how, large his pseudo-harem has become. Okay, that was an absolutely amazing attack. I freaking love that. Yeah, this whole battle endurance thing that was meant to take hours and hours, they finished it in less than 10 minutes. That is how freaking broken they are. Yay, Hajime did it! He won, he beat all the snakes. Oh, spoke too soon. I mean, Hajime really only has himself to blame here. He said the end. He's like, alright, that's it. We did it. We won. The boss is dead. He raised so many flags that statement. He should have been expecting an attack. Though probably not one on this scale. Yeah, this is something else right here. This is something else right here. Wow, that was a seriously long attack. I mean, it's still going. Oh my freaking god. How much mana do you have for this thing? I mean, seriously. And yeah, that's the end of the episode. Alright, I guess Hajime is dead. Sorry, everybody. I guess next episode is going to start the new series, which is all about his former harem working together to get revenge on his killers. Yay! Okay, obviously Hajime is not dead, but that was quite an attack. That was quite an attack, and even he's probably not going to walk out of that unscathed. Alright, so overall I think this was a fairly impressive episode. They cut a few moments I would have liked to see, but for the most part, all the best things were in here. It was shown, it was explained fairly well. That was good, and the monsters just looked really good. I mean, especially because, we got the flashback to Season 1, and all the ugly monsters we had then. I mean, seriously, compare the lava eels, the lava ox, and all those to, what we got back in Season 1, and the difference is freaking night and day. It looks like next episode is going to be called Black and White, which, yeah, I have a fairly good idea exactly what that's referring to as well, and I'm so excited for it. It is one of the best moments in the series, in my opinion. But anyway, please make a comment down below. What do you think of the episode? What do you think of the monsters? Do you think they were an improvement over Season 1? Do you think Hajime is dead? I mean, that was quite an attack. A very lengthy attack, and I feel like even Hajime would really struggle to survive something like that. But anyway, please leave a comment down below. Be sure to like and subscribe. See you guys in my next video. And until then, peace!